Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Again, another stunning image. Okay, this time the sun is setting on the right side of the photographer. The photograph is looking up a dirt path. The grass is kind of dry. This could almost be Hong Kong in the dry season.
Oh,
There's a
really?
bit of tall grass. Yeah, it's somewhat similar.
Yeah.
There's green shrubs, not the same kind of trees, but the hills, rolling hills, not too high. The sky looks very. There are a couple of white clouds, most all blue. It's afternoon sun. It's a beautiful image. So whoever made the shot is using a pretty decent camera. So yeah, I'd say winter-ish. So what is this?
It's, again, that's me and my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like within a mile across the main road from where I live. It's
Oh,
called Granite Mountain. And it's a mountain that's older than the Rockies down here in Arizona. And we hike it a lot. We walk over to it and go, and it's a nice park where you can't, you can ride horses, I think, and bicycles, and that's it. But I take a lot of pictures when I'm over there through the different seasons. And one of the things I used it for from the start, going over there and taking pictures, was when I moved to Arizona. So we lived in Seattle about 20 years, my husband
oh well.
and me, before. I mean, he'd lived there longer. He's from Washington. But I lived there a little over 20 years, I
Mm.
think. But anyway, I said I was moving to Arizona, and I had lived here back in college for a short time, and I loved it. But I was up in Flagstaff, which is mountains. Their peaks are 12,500, I think, and it's a lumber town. And I didn't want to move back to there. I wanted to move still to the mountains, but not there. So we moved to Prescott, which is more of a rancher town. Not quite as high. The mountain you're looking at is 7,000 feet. We live at 5,000, so we're a mile high. But people kept saying to me, I can't believe you're going to leave the Seattle area and go to the desert. And I'd say, but I'm not going to live in the desert. I'm living in the mountains. No, Arizona's a desert. And I'd say, well, Arizona has deserts, but it has mountains, and there's 6 different biomes. And then
Mm-hmm.
they just glaze over, because here I
Right.
go down to my science,
I love
physical
it. I love
geography.
it. Geek out.
I'm a big physical geography fan, and my husband, he actually got his degree in that, and I can't remember the exact words.
Wait. What's his name?
His name's Sam Lucky on the book.
Okay, it's okay. You can just say Sam. It's good.
Sam. So Sam and I travel, and we have those books where it says, this is the rock formation and this is how it's formed at this milepost. And so we really like to geek out on physical geography. And
That's the
so
best.
and so that's part of this picture is beautiful Granite Mountain. It's these big. It was this huge mountain. So old. I think it goes back to, they figured, the Jurassic. There's something with dinosaurs, one of
Mm-hmm.
those late ones, and it's still here, but it's just been broken down to these huge boulders. So much of it, some of them house size, some of them car size, and it's just slowly decaying granite. And I just love it because it just feels like a connection to something so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fun place to hike. It's got nice paths, and sometimes we see snakes and sometimes we don't. So it's just, and we like to hike. I do. I especially like, wherever I can hike in the mountains is one of my favorite things. So that's why I included that. It's a little bit, not just the photography, but something I enjoy doing.
Yeah. Well, and okay, I can tie it into living in Hong Kong. Like I said, this could be Hong Kong. Let me see. Convert it into feet. So roughly the tallest peaks in Hong Kong is about 3,000 to 4,000 feet. So
Hmm.
not too high.
Hmm.
But the rolling hills and this idea of going on a hike for say 2 or 3 or 5 hours is in some ways rejuvenating and is many ways meditative, because I don't know if you feel this, but I kind of feel the first hour that you're on a hike, it's all the junk that kind of has to come out,
Right.
blah blah blah, and then you kind of hit this moment of, well, some people quiet, some people song, some people, but it becomes quite meditative.
Hmm.
So could you connect this to the process of of either of writing or in the process of internalizing or to.
So my husband goes with me. You don't hike alone if you're a woman. Most of us don't.
Well, that's one of the good things about Hong Kong is that it's super safe.
Oh,
But in
nice.
the US,
Yeah.
fine.
So we always go together, and sometimes the kids, but most of the time it's just him and me while they're at school. And we will brainstorm. Hiking is where some of our, the first we're talking about, like you said, the first little bit is going, okay, this is what's going on with the kids at school, or we're frustrated with and talking about different things in life. But then we get to the point where we get back to where, we're looking at way up at Granite Mountain or somewhere back on that trail, and some of the plants and different cacti. And then it starts, okay, so here's where I'm at in the story, here's what I kind of want to happen. What are some things that, and then we'll start brainstorming.
Amazing.
So a lot of these hikes are full of that. A lot of our travels are brainstorming. Our poor children, will talk about somebody, and my daughter will go, "Are these people? Is this a real person,
Right.
or is this a fake person?" And so we have to. And she's never quite sure. She's read some of our books, as has my son, but there's so many characters. So
What are their ages?
they're now 15 and 17.
Okay. Here's what's also interesting is that, there's this theory of we don't really, as people, we basically learn through mimicry, right? Monkey see,
Right.
monkey do all
Right.
the time. That's all we do. That's the foundation of learning. And so just like you got this essence or this foundation of entrepreneurship or whatever from I would say from your parents,
Hmm.
then in the same way, like your kids who will grumble and whatever are going to they're totally steeped in your process and in your mindset and how you work, and also the connection of how you and Sam and your husband develop ideas together. So how do you see your process influence your children in a way that's kind of recognizable, like, oh, that's that's from us?
Well, my son has written one book. He's writing his second. He's the 17-year-old. He's working on his second, but he's going back and editing the first.
Amazing.
Um, and he writes long books. Not just, I was like, wow, that's 130K. That's a big book. They're a fantasy, steampunk mix. So we'll talk about plot. We'll talk about different things, character development. I'm always trying to read. It's hard to read something it's not really my genre. I love to watch movies with
Hmm.
that, but reading, I don't tend to read that genre mix. But I try to with him, and so does his dad. And then we'll talk about, okay, maybe you need more character development here because I was confused by what was going on, or I have a cast of characters at the beginning of my books because I haven't written. I guess I've created over 500 characters. I have a lady a friend that keeps track of. She has these big spreadsheets of all my series so that I can be consistent. And she does
Yeah.
it. She does it as a business, but we started together, so she's awesome, and she helps me by keeping track. So he's learned the importance of keeping track of your characters and making them unique. And he has lists at the beginning of his book now with his cast. So there's all these ways that he's become a writer. Now he wanted to just finish schooling and be a writer, and we're like, no, 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 no. You have to get to that point. You have to go out in
Hmm.
the world and do some work and live amongst, do the jobs, do the grunt work, do all that. And that's what gives you the good experience to write better stories. So he knows he's got to get a day job. He's got to go to college and figure out some kind of day job that'll support him until he's, full on ready to publish. And he also knows we don't just publish anything. This has to
Hmm.
be high quality if you're going to put it out there, because they'll buy the first one, and if you drop the ball, they won't buy another from you. So you
Right.
get your one shot, and he gets that. So he does that, as well as high school and that. My daughter, she has read more of my books. She is, oh man, she's taught herself guitar. At my parents this summer, we were just at my parents in Ohio, and she was teaching herself piano and playing on the
Hmm.
piano, playing different songs. She's so creative in such a different way, and she's but at the same time, she's got an engineer brain. So
Hmm.
she will help me with marketing. I'll start doing a video or something. She'll go, Mom, I don't think you should do it that way. I think you should film it, from this angle and then show this and maybe put this music and cut it here.
Awesome.
So I've told her time and again, you've got to help me with marketing more. You've got to help me create this, the videos, because I don't work video. That's just not how my mind works. So
That's amazing.
they're already, putting that to work. But at the same time, long ago they said they were younger in junior high and I want to be a YouTuber for a living. That's what I'm going to do. And I said, you can't just be a YouTuber. And they said, you're a writer. Dad's a writer. Why can't we be you? And I was like, okay, well, you got to have a job too. You got to have something to pay the
Oh
bills first.
man.
So I learned I can't tell them that if you want to be an actor, I can't say, well, you won't, that's a hard
Right.
thing. If you're driven, you might, you can make it happen. So
Well, there's a great stepping stone for the next photo, if you're down.
I'm ready.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.